Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to another StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm video. And yes, this is going to be Heart of the Swarm, but it is going to be the announced Swarm host changes that are happening in Legacy of the Void. And this is kind of weird, okay? This is not something we usually see from Blizzard, and this is something that I wanted to be discussing in this video because I'm not completely sure how I'm thinking about it. So, first off, let's just go over the changes really quickly before I give you my thoughts and what I like about it and what I don't like about it. So the very first thing right here is a post from Dave V saying we would like to give everyone an update on the current balance test map and also address some of the recent swarm host stalemate situations that have been going on. So for anyone wondering what's been happening is that players have been playing like high level matches that have been lasting up to 3 to 4 hours or something ridiculous like that. There's been games like that where it's basically gonna be free units with swarm host versus other free units, and it's just a very it's just a very boring stalemate that's been happening quite a lot. So here we go. These weren't as many, or there weren't as many top level tournaments going on recently, so we're unsure if what we're seeing towards the end of the last year is still the case. We're getting mixed feedback, blah blah blah. So here we go. These are the proposed balance changes for StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm, not Legacy of the Void. Rather than focusing on what occurred near the end of Season 3, please help us in focusing on what's going on right now in the brand new season. We will continue to monitor the need for this change and provide further updates in the future. Regarding the Swarm host, we would like to test the 2 changes in a new balance map. Okay? Let's do it. All Swarm host changes from Legacy of the Void carried over to Heart of the Swarm. Redesigned from a siege tool to a mobile harass unit, spawn locusts can now be used while unburrowed, but must be manually activated. Locusts have been buffed and can be upgraded at tier 2 to fly over terrain, and they must then swoop down to the ground to engage. Raven point defense drones duration decreased to 20 seconds, I believe from 180 seconds, but that's, you know, that's okay. So there's a couple of concerns. First up, what happens versus Mechs, what happens versus Mech, rather, what happens to mass Protoss air units supported by High Templar, and what happens at the highest pro level. And then we also have an updated post from yesterday from Psione. Since we are getting speculations on what the new swarm map looks like, here are some key details. Please keep in mind that there's the potential that any of these values could be tweaked prior to being implemented to the balance test map, but it could give you an idea of the differences. So these are going to be the new swarm host stats that will be introduced into the PTR test map and very likely also into the live game, because, well, that's most of the time how this sort of thing works. So the swarm host is going to be 100 minerals, 200 gas, and 40 seconds build time with 4 supply. Now that's a pretty big change right there. They basically swapped these numbers around and they're going to be 4 supply. No longer start off with burrow, and during locust upgrade is no longer available, but you do have the upgrade to go for flying locust. The cooldown is going to be 60 seconds on the locust, and it can be cast while burrowed or while unburrowed, but must be manually cast only. There's no longer an auto cast, and spawn 2 locusts that have 30 seconds timed life. So basically the whole difference is that compared to the old swarm host, this new swarm host is basically a unit that is used for harassment. You cannot use this new swarm host in massive amounts of numbers because, well, simply put, they are 4 supply each, so there's gonna be not that many of them to begin with. But also on top of that, they're just not gonna be good at taking out and you know, stalemate situations, because it just doesn't happen. They aren't going to be sitting there passively, just spawning locust upon locust upon locust to get that nice siege wall that we can get as Zerg right now. Instead, they're going to be great as an harassment tool, because with the flying locust you can fly over a certain high ground and a certain a certain area of the map, really, and harass down into mineral lines. So let's say on Cloud Kingdom you could burrow right below the ledge and actually harass the natural while not even being remotely close to the natural without the Protoss really being able to kill it. Now, what this makes a swarm host is not really a swarm host anymore, okay? The swarm host that we have right now might as well be renamed to a completely new unit, because the new and the old swarm host are nothing alike. They are completely different units. So they're basically going from like a siege unit to a unit that is harassment based, very expensive as well, 100 minerals, 200 gas, with 4 supply and all kinds of upgrades that you need to get, or, well, at the very least 1 upgrade right there that you need to get in order to make it really efficient. So I'm a little bit on the brink on this whole thing. First off, I want to give mad props to Blizzard for this. If anyone from Blizzard is listening to this, thank you very much, because for the longest time, Blizzard has only been going with very small incremental updates. Just in general to all of their games pretty much, but especially StarCraft 2, because there are so many careers on the line. If they, you know, sincerely fuck something up, it's gonna be so many careers on the line that they can't really make massive changes, you know, like they've been doing right now. And I personally really like this change. We've been seeing this in other esports as well, where they just fundamentally change games, and you know, the players will just need to catch that blow, and that's exactly what is going on right now. So I think this is awesome. I think this should be happening a lot more, because it means that Blizzard is actually actively changed in the game where it is necessary, instead of us maybe potentially playing this game for another year or so until Legacy of the Void comes out with more and more boring, you know, Swarm host versus Swarm host stalemates. So very first thing I'd like to say thank you very much to people at Blizzard for doing this change, because I think this is absolutely huge and I think this is awesome. Second thing, okay, so the main reason why Swarm hosts are being used right now is because they are insanely good against everything. You can't really go wrong with Swarm hosts, especially in Zerg versus Protoss. If you play Zerg versus Protoss, oftentimes you can switch into Hydralisk, or you can switch into Mutalisk, or you can switch into any of these units, but in most situations, the Swarm host is simply going to be the better all-round unit with some static defense, because it will defend against anything. And in the later part of the game, if it goes to the super late game, what happens is that Zerg is usually pretty far ahead because of all of those free units. So the Swarm host is sort of like the go-to unit right now, especially in the European and North American playstyle, where you just see the unit a lot, and it's great. However, in Korea, you're seeing a lot more different styles as well, where the Swarm host is sort of just used as a stepping stone in order to get to like another tech unit. So let's say like Swarm host into Muta, or Swarm host into like Brute Lord Ultra, or something similar like that, right? There's all kinds of different places where you can use this in, and I think this is going to be positively impacting the highest level of play for sure in Korea. But in Europe and in North America, there's gonna be a couple things that need to change. First off, well, this unit can't be really used anymore as like the all-round defensive unit versus Protoss that will help you deal with like 3-base all-ins and whatnot, because it's simply not that unit anymore. It's gonna be an harassment-based unit that you can use to nuke down naturals and to nuke down main bases if you can. So players will need to figure out a completely different style as far as like mid to late game Zerg goes, because simply sitting back on Swarm host is not gonna be part of that anymore. Now, I've been very vocal in the past as well that I don't like Swarm host one bit. I think the current Swarm host, like it is currently in Heart of the Swarm, is a very bad unit design to begin with. I don't like it at all, simply because of those stalemate situations. So I personally am very excited for this, but I can understand that a couple of people are having issues with this potential change to the unit, simply because, well, it's been a staple for so long, and it's been one of these units that has been used and practiced with for so long in Heart of the Swarm that this is going to be something that needs to be worked out. Now, personally, I am very excited for this. I don't like the playstyle where a lot of people are going for the passiveness, so I am glad it's changing, but I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on the upcoming Swarm host changes in StarCraft 2, and let me know what your thoughts are right below that like button in the comment section below, because I will be keeping an eye out. Maybe some of you are going to be able to swap my mind one way or another, and I'm very curious to read your thoughts. So make sure you let me know. Other than that, I want to thank you guys all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. Have an amazing day. Don't forget to smile, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!